When I'm trying to distill water, if I fill up this plastic container to the top and then put it through the distillery, that's how much water comes out. It only goes up to about there, which is about 2/3 of the way up in the container. So 1/3 of it is lost to the air. Now, this, what you see here before you right now, happens to be the guts of the head of my little still. And I heard that it had a little hole somewhere on it that allowed gases to escape so that you could get more pure water coming out of it. And if you look closely, let me just zoom in so you can see it. What do we got here? I've noticed a little hole on that bit of tubing that comes straight out of the top of the still. So if I block that up, then we'll be much more likely to get a higher yield coming out. Now, the other thing I've noticed is that this little bit of piping there is actually just soft silicone. Okay, so if I just got a bit of copper piping which just fitted into that hole and was slightly larger than it will make a totally water and airtight and vapor-tight seal, and therefore I could extend the length of the worm even further, thus making it a more effective still. Okay, those are just my ideas so far. I'll let you know how it progresses. Now, I don't know whether this was right or whether this was wrong, but I've tied on some elastic band over the hole. Now, that'll block it up, but this is going to get hot. Now, if that's going to get too hot, it might melt it, and all kinds of nasty things could happen. So I don't know whether that's a good solution for the moment, but taking into account that this can't get hotter than 100 degrees, it might still be okay. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. But fingers crossed that will be okay for now. Maybe it does go once in a while and I'll have to replace it. But think about it, with that little hole there, the only options I could have would be a blob of glue or a bit of tape, you know, so I might as well use an elastic band and hope for the best. I don't know if that's the right material or not. We're just going to have to see. Okay, modified air still, same conditions as before, same pot, same top. Same ghastly tramp juice, which I'm going to shove into the thing and see what kind of results we can get. Here goes. Okay, that's the still full of the white ace shit cider. Okay, the purpose of this test is to see whether the modification is actually going to provide me with a noticeable improvement in the quantity of combustible alcohol which is going to be provided. Thus making me believe that I have hopefully sufficiently modified the still to make it more useful for fuel. If I am unsuccessful, then what I can do is try and extend the worm itself through a method I mentioned to you a few moments ago and see whether that will do it. Okay, here it goes. I mean, technically speaking, this is supposed to be a water distillery system. It's not supposed to be an alcohol distillery system. So that hole is probably put there to stop people from being naughty and getting drunk. Possibly. I don't know. But let's just see how we get on and see whether we can get fuel alcohol from this thing. Remember, this is the 75-pound or 80-pound type model you can see on eBay, rather than the 150-pound type stainless steel model you can see on eBay, okay? For those of you who are even remotely curious about this sort of thing, blocking off the volatile evaporation hole on the worm coil on this style of still will make the stuff which is being produced even less drinkable, because it'll be introducing more toxins into the finished product. So essentially, if you're interested in doing this stuff for alcoholic drinking purposes, then you better find a non-toxic food grade way of blocking off that extra vent hole. I personally would not use this style of still for drinking alcohol anyway, because it comes out of China and is full of lousy chemicals, which even when you're doing it with water, makes the water taste foul. So there's, you know, just a few runs of usage just does not clean off the chemicals. Alright, so you probably need to get the fully stainless steel version rather than this one, which has some plastic components, and one that's ideally made in the European Union or the USA or Australia, not China. Okay, a little over 30 minutes into the operation, we got steam produced. Let's see if we can burn some of this stuff. It's not burning. Now what I have noticed is that the smell isn't anywhere near as bad after I blocked up that hole as it was last time I did a run. So there's something good happening as a result of blocking up that hole no matter what. But are we actually doing any good as far as making burning alcohol is concerned? I don't think we're getting quite the right, the right strength. We're just going to have to carry on experimenting. The flow of liquid coming out of here is massive. It's coming out a lot quicker. But I don't have faith it's quite the right percentage, okay? I just don't have that. Yeah, this stuff is the tails, what's left over. And it's just like, it smells just... I mean, if you put like a few cinnamon sticks in there, that'll make a Christmas drink, basically. And it doesn't smell too alcoholic. That, on the other hand, is as clear as water. It smells incredibly alcoholic, but still doesn't quite burn. So, we got a problem here. But the only thing I can think of doing next with the existing still head is to extend the worm. And once that's done, then we should be hopefully into the fuel business, or failing that, just buy another friendly still. That's the way it's got to be. So now we've got to ask ourselves whether the first modification of the still was a success. To which I would have to say, first and foremost, yes. Predominantly because distillate was coming out of the twirly worm tube a lot sooner than when the little hole was not blocked up. So essentially blocking up that little hole really does help. But the quantity of alcohol, or the quality of alcohol that we got out, was not good enough to burn and use as a fuel. So there's still a few things missing from the whole thing if we're going to use that one particular still. The two conditions I can conceive of adjusting is, number one, the length of the worm tube, and number two, the strength of the alcohol put into the body of the distiller for the purposes of distilling it to try and get the fuel alcohol off. Remember, of course, this is a dirt cheap Chinese still, so if I was to adjust those two different conditions and I still don't get the results that I'm after, then I will have to definitely get or build another still. Full stop, finito, the end of argument, okay? But if I can just extend the length of the worm and increase the strength of alcohol which goes into it, then maybe we're potentially in business just with that still to make small quantities of fuel alcohol, but it will still be a trying and lengthy process to be able to make enough to be useful for regular domestic heating, as well as cooking, hot water, and all the other things that we need heat for within modern life. There's more work to be done. Okay, but we definitely have a significant increase in the quantity of liquid being produced and the speed that it was produced. So in some respects we've done very well today.